Welcome, Stephanie, to my podcast for the third time.
Thank you. We don't have to tell everybody this is our third time. It's all right.
Yeah,
You know,
we work hard.
we do. We do. We work hard to make it easy, look easy, right?
uh, yeah, it's not easy.
It's not easy. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Everything's worth
Please
it.
continue where you left off. I mean, tell everybody where you started, but where you was going was great because you have me
Yeah.
interested.
Oh, thank you. All right. So the story I was telling, and I was getting into it. I was telling David about how I got into real estate and how long I've been in real estate. So I about 3 years ago, I actually finally took some action. I've been talking and thinking about real estate for probably 12 to 15 years. Back in 2008, my family was sent overseas and we lived in Australia for a few years. And the company there rented a house. So we still had the house here. So I was able to rent it out. So I became a landlord here. And it was great. I had no trouble. They were great tenants. They actually took better care of the house than we did. So, it was like ideal. And I gave myself 100% of the credit for that. And I thought, oh, I can totally do this again. So when we came back from Australia, I thought, okay, I want to buy a house. I want to be a landlord. At that time, that's all I kind of knew that was the model. You bought a house, you had a tenant, you were a landlord. But the actual idea of actually doing it and taking on that debt, because I was so anti-debt, I was definitely of the Dave Ramsey camp, right? I was a disciple, right? Yeah. So debt is bad under all circumstances. So I really had to change that mindset. But so I analyzed markets, I gathered my data, I was very studious, but that's all I did, right? I was stuck in that analysis paralysis. And the thing that really, I think, got that out of me, and I would be curious to know how many people actually, because of COVID, because of the pandemic, actually finally went after their dreams. Because for me, it was like, all right, stuff's getting real. I could die. There are people dying. This could be my last chance to go after my dream. And I actually lost my brother-in-law during COVID, who was my exact same age. And that had such a profound effect on me. And I decided, I'm like, I'm not going to sit around anymore. I've been wasting time.
Right.
And I did it. So I bought a house in Jacksonville, Florida. I didn't really know exactly what I was doing. So I didn't do it perfectly. I had a large sum of cash. And I bought the house 100% with my cash. And anybody who knows anything about real estate investing will know you don't do that. You don't do that, Stephanie. Because what I did then is I spent all my cash and I bought my house and I signed the documents and I stood there and I thought, how do I get the next one? Like, I have no money now. Right?
Yeah.
I had no idea. So then finally at that time, I was like, okay, Stephanie, you're going to have to seek out advice or like find somebody to teach you the next step. And then that's finally when I put my hubris aside and then decided to go and find a mentor or somebody. Right. And that's been 3 years ago. And so now, it's going well.
How do you like it? How do you like it that the first one you kind of was able to learn a real good lesson off of that? Off jump, because some people, though, they get into the game, they probably won't get their first setback for a little bit, and then they get careless because they're successful so quick, and they really lose. So how much of it do you think it's a blessing in disguise?
Well, boy, it's really about the mindset, isn't it? It's so much about it. There have been several times in my life that I've really had to change the way I thought about things. And one of them is similar. Like I got really sick in my 20s, right? Like early 20s. And it took years and years for doctors to figure out what was wrong with me. And I, for so long, was so discouraged and I felt like I lost my 20s. Now I'm much older and I'm like in the best shape of my life because I was forced in my 20s to really start taking care of myself and take it seriously. So I exercise, I eat well, I'm great. So that was a blessing, right? This house that I bought was the same way. It was equivalent to buying a giant piece of cancer. It was terrible. It was my life lesson.
Yeah.
So I think there are stories about it I don't want to tell because they're embarrassing that I bought this
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
Um, but it's paying off. It's taken a few years, but
Mhm.
I bought it with all cash, which you shouldn't have done. Um, when I purchased it, there was a squatter in it.
Oh, nice. So you had to evict the squatter?
I did. It took I think it took from February to the end of May to
Really?
remove this gentleman from the house. Yep.
Wow.
And it culminated with the sheriff and some officers actually
Mm.
escorting him from the
Oh
house.
boy.
So this was right out of the gate, my first
Really?
experience in real estate.
You came out the first round swinging.
Uh, yeah, and then this guy that was squatting there, he had 10 pit bulls all
Oh
living on
boy.
yeah, and I was trying
Oh.
to call animal control and get that taken care of, right? And they did. It all got taken care of. But you know what? This is so embarrassing. But I want
Mm.
people to hear this, okay? Because if I'm still
Yeah,
doing this today, there's nothing I'm afraid of now.
right.
The dogs left behind fleas.
Oh
Like
no.
never seen. Like I've never
Oh
seen an
wow.
infestation of fleas, right? So I get the property. I'm like, yay, he's out. The dogs are gone. I'm going to start working on this thing. I could not even spend any time on the property because I just
Yeah. Just even thinking about it before you
my
even
legs.
get to Jacksonville, you're already like twitching.
I know, and I just never experienced anything like it on
That's
on this property.
crazy.
And so before I could even work on the house, I had to get the yard treated. Eventually, I had to get the whole house, that big tent, right? I've
Mm.
never had to do that before, but they had to tent the whole house.
That's like when we was
So
that's like when we was in Brooklyn. We used to put we call them da bomba, and
yeah,
they're like
mhm.
these things, and they spread up into the air, and then you come back in like 2 hours later, everything is dead
Right, I know.
in
And
the
I tried
apartment.
those several times.
Oh yeah,
Didn't
no,
do
it's
no,
they
had
don't
to still
they
had
don't
to still
they
do the
don't do
whole
the job.
10 thing, right? But I still have the property today. I renovated that house and I've had tenants in it for well, almost 2 years actually. So
Well,
it's been
good
it's been
tenants,
going
I
well.
hope.
Yeah. Well
Okay,
with
we'll move on to the next. We'll move on to the next question.
90%. I think, what, to be fair, they are good tenants. And I'm having trouble with more than just one set of tenants. I think now is just kind of a hard time for a lot of people. So it's I don't think it's a reflection on them. I've had tenants who have had a hard time paying and whatnot because people's in jobs, people are getting cut back. So, you know,
Yeah, nah,
it is what it is right now.
it's definitely difficult for a lot of people right now. So
Yeah.
um, that's great. I like that story.
Yeah.
Let's see what can you tell me, all right? What were your key accomplishments? Like from you could say real estate or I mean, how long have you been in the real estate game? I mean, since you
For like
purchased
3 years really intensely.
3 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So be prior to that, what were you doing?
I had done the 2 years as a landlord in 2008 to 2010,
Okay.
and which were also interesting years to be a landlord because we also went through something similar. And then just for years, I would do market research and I would put
Okay.
together these big binders of areas, and I tried to meet with different agents to try to get people to help me, and
Right.
I was not having any luck. It was quite discouraging. So, but that's
Yeah.
not been the case in the last 3 years. Completely different.
Oh, okay. So what do you think is your key accomplishments? Like, have you had something that you could reflect back on that you said, okay, this is a win for me, and then that motivates you to move on more. So we know we covered the bad one, right? The all right, I bought a cash, there's a squatter, but Where is there a good one that you're like, all right, this is why I'm in here, that you're proud?
I mean, honestly, I think just getting started is a super big accomplishment. I think
Mm,
that's,
I agree.
and sometimes I look back and I'm like, I can't believe I actually went and did it. You know, I think
Mhm.
just that inertia of the first time. I think one of the one of the things I feel like I've grown in and that I think is going to serve me well going forward is actually working with people, right?
Mm,
Because people had told me before that real estate's all about relationships, and I
mhm.
didn't really. I was like, okay, but I don't. It didn't really click with me. I tend to be a little bit of a lone wolf and just kind of do
Yeah,
my own thing.
yeah.
Um, and I can be a little bit bossy, and I like being in the leadership role. So I've had to learn to work
Play with the
cooperatively.
kids.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if we want to put it that way, yes, pretty
Yeah,
much. I've
yeah.
had to
I've
learn to
been
play with
told
the
the same thing, so I know.
um, and I think I think part so much of real estate and getting into real estate and when I talk to people who are asking me about it and where should I start, one of the things that I tell them is take a really good look at yourself and like figure out what your strengths are and then maybe the things that you're not so good at, you know, and I think try to figure out what your blind spots are if you can. Like what are your because your blind spots are going to be the things that make it hard to continue, right? So
Right.
one big blind spot, and to be fair, it wasn't a blind spot because I am aware of it and I was aware of it, but I think I have trouble with time. I my biggest thing that is my trigger in life is when I feel like other people waste my time, right? I'll
Mhm.
give money to people, I'll give my clothes away, whatever, but my time,
It's
you waste
precious.
my time because I
Yeah.
know I have a finite amount of it, right?
Yeah.
So it has been very difficult in real estate because you're waiting on contractors, you're
Yeah.
waiting on lenders, you're waiting on sellers, you're waiting. It's a
Yeah.
lot of waiting. And so I've really had to deal with that part of my character. Like Stephanie, you can't be frustrated with people. You can't spend
Mm.
every day frustrated or stressed out, or this is not the industry for you. And so the way that I get around that is that I try to keep several different projects going
Mm. To keep your
because I
mind
think that's
occupied.
what.
To keep your mind occupied.
Yes. So I'm not just sitting around like, well, why aren't they calling me? Why aren't they calling me? You know, right. I'm like, okay, well, while I'm waiting for them, I can work on this other thing. So one of the things that I've done in real estate that is actually contrary to a lot of advice is, you know, a lot of people will say, pick one thing and really focus on that thing and do that thing. And that is good advice. For me, though, I wanted to try a lot of different things to figure out like, where am I best suited? Where does my personality best fit within real estate? Um, what do I like to do the most? And so I have a long-term rental. I also have flips. I do fix and flips. I also have some Airbnbs that I run. I'm also I work with a real estate company in New York City. We're putting together a team that we're coaching and mentoring for wholesaling. And then I'm also going to be overseeing the a brokerage side of that too in New York City. So, you know, I'm working with a brokerage. I'm getting my agent's license. I'm coaching a team. I've got Airbnbs. So my plan is not always to be this sort of spread out and
Right.
fragmented. But for me, it was a good way to try a lot of different things and to see what I really like, what I'm good at, what kind of just feels natural, right?
Yeah.
The Airbnb doesn't feel so natural, not really loving it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's one that maybe I will figure out a way to delegate it or I'll just phase it out. And
Right.
so I think, sorry, this question was what I feel like I've been successful. I think I've been successful at figuring out what has worked really well for me. identifying strengths, working on the weaknesses, and then trying to hone in and do the things that work to my skills.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
I
was a
couldn't
very long
agree.
answer for that.
Yeah, no, but I agree with you 100%. I know everybody likes to say, focus on one thing, and I'm the same way. I like to kind of venture off into two, three, four different things, and
Hmm.
whatever tickles me that day is what I focus on. And
Hmm.
and as long as I remain consistent and I keep going back to each one of them, I'm think I'm okay.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with you on that. I don't think it's almost like that put your eggs all in one basket type of thing that I really don't like.
Hmm.
So I'm always trying to figure out different ways to do different things. So
Hmm.
I totally agree with that. And
And
um
that's the beauty of real estate, is that you
yeah.
can't, right? It's all within the realm of real estate. So I'm not trying to
Mhm.
do real estate and then I'm over here doing this other thing. It's
Right.
all within the realm of real estate. So there's a lot of overlap, which is helpful.
Right.
But it does give me that freedom, because I like to do that. And for years, I homeschooled my kids, right? And I loved
Mhm.
it because we'd do history for an hour, then we'd do math for an hour. And I love history and I love math. And we'd switch to something else. And I love that thing too. Like I just love lots of stuff, right? So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I like that sort of format where I can work on one thing for a while and then switch to another thing. And so,
Yeah.
if somebody's watching this and they're like, "Yeah, I like that too," then I'm like, "Real estate might be for you,"
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it
yeah.
works. You can do it.
Yeah.
There's a limit.
Yeah,
I
but
haven't I haven't I
it's
haven't
like you
found the
said,
limit
they
yet.
overlap. It overlaps each other. Like it's like especially when you know, when you talk about I like just some of the art stuff that acting and stuff like that. That's just going to be part of your personality. On the personal side. So
Mhm.
then when you're doing with your kids' history and stuff like that. And then when you're dealing with that kind of spills over on the business side because then you are in the real estate market, which has different exit strategies, but has different, structures within that in this investment realm. So it kind
Mhm.
of, one complements the other, even if you are doing three or four separate things, they're
Yeah,
really not separate. They're kind of webbed together, intertangled, whatever you want to call it.
yeah, they are. I couldn't do that with 4 completely separate things, right? But
Yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah. That's yeah, definitely would be difficult.
and at the end of the
And
day, honestly, they're all kind of the same skill sets, dealing with the customers at the Airbnb and coordinating that is very similar to having to deal with the contractors and talk to the contractors and get them their schedule and whatnot. So it is, I'm probably truly using the same set of skills over and over again, but
over and
just
over
in
again,
different
right?
context. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just so, you're communicating but different languages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Perhaps.
So
Yeah.
but you're still communicating. You're getting the
Yeah.
job done. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
That's good. That's
So
good enough.
so for the Airbnbs, are they because I like down here in Daytona, I've spoken to investors that they don't like doing Airbnbs. Not an Airbnb guy, but I've heard that chatter throughout. And I'm wondering, is it something that the government is just cracking down on, or they're trying to regulate it, or
Mhm.
what's going on with that?
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of local municipalities that are trying to change regulations and crack down on it and unfortunately, I think it was one of those things that a lot of people made a lot of money very quickly in it, and so a lot of
Mhm.
people jumped in that maybe um didn't have any background, any kind of background in hospitality or real estate or customer service or whatnot. And so there's a lot of terrible Airbnbs out there.
Mhm.
Um, and I think a lot of people did a lot of things that were very sketchy. It's like
Okay.
anything. Usually there's a few people that ruin it for all of us, right? Like,
Mm. Yeah.
it's how it goes, right? Like, what is it? I think my deodorant says "Don't eat it." Like, so somebody ate it somewhere, right? Somebody had to be the one to go and do that, and now that says that on that my
Ay,
deodorant.
ay,
So
ay.
I think there were some people who just got into it, and they weren't the most honest of characters, and that happened all around the country, and it's unfortunate. So they are cracking down on it, and I think just what's happening with the economy too. I think less people are using them. I know that mine are still profitable, but I have definitely had to lower my nightly rates, and I don't make the kind of money that I was making on them.
And
So
yours are where are yours located?
so I've got one still. The ones I have still are one in Pittsburgh and then one in Miami, actually.
Oh,
So,
nice.
and then I was starting to do one in Jacksonville. I was starting to do two in Jacksonville, actually, and then I changed my mind a little bit about the Jacksonville market. So right now I'm just doing
Mm,
the two, and I'll keep doing them as long as they keep making some money. But
mm,
I've always got different options in the back of my head for them.
mm. And you're
Mhm.
eager to try them out, right? You're like, I hope this Airbnb doesn't work out because I got the right idea.
I do. Although I do want to, I think the next part of my leveling up, like the next part of me growing as an investor, will actually be learning how to delegate and automate, right? Like
Yeah.
turn things into businesses that can run without me being involved in them all the time. And so I think with the Airbnbs, I kind of want them to succeed because I want to build it up and take on more and have a
Mm,
manager and somebody, like have it be a fully fledged business that I don't have to do, that I can just check in with every once in a while.
right.
Because my partner also she has four also of her own. So our company together has six.
Okay.
Two are mine and then four of hers. So, we've talked about growing. We were going before the economy changed. We were going to try to take on some co-hosting and help run other people's Airbnbs.
Mm,
And we put that on pause for now. But I kind of wanted to do well so that I can use that as my test model for my next
right.
level of growth. Can I
Right.
truly
Right.
build out a business, which I have not done yet. Right.
Mm,
So that's
okay.
what I'm doing. Yeah.
That's
Which is still kind
interesting.
of trying a new thing.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But
Well,
within
yeah.
the same projects. Yeah.
Yeah. You're always gonna try new things. I can see it
Yes.
already in your eyes. You have like 50 things. Like you like cooking. Like, oh yes.
I do. I always
Yeah.
do.
So you
Yeah.
travel a lot, right? I take it. You're always going to these
I do, because I
properties.
have to go. Yeah, yeah, to go check on these properties. And I yeah, because I've got the properties in Florida, I've got the properties up here. I have a piece of land in Tennessee that I'm trying to figure out what to do with. And then I work in New York City. So I
Oh, you
do
do work in
travel.
New York City.
What?
Oh, you do work in New York City.
I mean, most of the work I do from here, but I try to go and visit and do stuff locally when I can and do networking events and whatnot.
Okay.
Um, so I'm traveling all the time. So also, I think part of the next level of me just growing as an investor is really figuring out like how to do this work on the road all the time. Like that I don't
Yeah.
know how these guys do it, like the Grant Cardones and Pace, that they're always on the road. Well, I think they have a team of assistants.
They don't do it. That's the thing. So they probably have an integrator in the background that takes care of everything. That's usually the case. So if like you choose to become the face of your investment portfolio or venture, you're gonna have to get an integrator in the back to kind of handle all of that, because I don't see how. I mean, I can see how, being an integrator, I can see how, because as long as I have internet connection, I can work.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I probably won't be able to drive, even though I've done that. Like
Mhm.
I've driven and been on the laptop with one hand, like I've done that. It's not easy. But
Yeah. I've never done that.
yeah.
I'm kidding.
So, but I mean, there
don't
is a
endorse it.
way. Yeah, there is a way to do it.
Yeah.
I think you just got to figure out a method to the madness, and definitely automation is something that you would welcome.
Mhm.
And even like, AI, AI will probably
Yes.
at one point just, you'll be able to talk into your phone and it'll talk back to you, and yeah, do me a favor, get this done, and then you know what I mean, and it'll be something different. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I can see how it could be done. I don't see why right now it should be done. I think if you focus on being the face, be the face, and if you want to be the integrator, you could be the integrator and the people that keeps others organized and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Yeah.
see you more of like you're a face, like you need to be in front of something. There's got to be a brand behind you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can articulate yourself very well, and you're
Oh,
a
well,
very
thank
good
you.
communicator. Yeah, you're a very
But
good
you know
communicator.
what? It's interesting that you're talking about that because I'm at that stage, right, where I imagine lots of people in not just real estate, all people in business. You're at that stage where to grow, you need people, but you're not quite making the money yet to hire the
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
right? So you either have to really, really like live on a shoestring for a while so you can pay the people so you can grow through that. But it's definitely a growth stage.
yeah.
And I'm a bit stuck in it right now. That's the next. I need people.
I'm
Right?
stuck too. I don't know how to offload and delegate to people.
Mhm,
Like
mhm,
I gave my lawnmower, the guy that does the lawn, I gave him a job, cut my grass.
mhm.
And he cut it like he messed my grass up and it drove me nuts. And that's one delegation and I couldn't handle it. It was like I'm looking at him from my window and I'm like, I gotta cut my own grass.
Yeah.
Like I gotta cut
Mhm.
my own. So I'm in that weird place too. And you're not by yourself. If we want to grow, we gotta get over that hump. And I we'll figure it out, I guess.
Well,
I mean,
I suspect that this is probably a stopping point for a lot of people who go into business. I think that a lot of people never grow past it,
yeah,
and they're the people that, I hear people joke about they left their 9 to 5 to go to a 7 to 7, right? A
yeah,
7 a.m. till a 7 p.m. And that's how it's been. And I've accepted, like, I think that's just part of when you're first trying to start your business, but it can't stay like this.
yeah. But it's nourishing when the 7 to 7 is all for you. You feel
It
what I'm
is.
saying? And
Yeah.
I think we'll get over this hump doing exactly what we're doing right now.
Hmm.
Kind of like exploring, being online and stuff like that,
Hmm.
and it kind of breaking that show, and then you'll start seeing that, because of certain things that you do, you must delegate down.
Yeah.
Some of these little beyond you, tasks that you probably shouldn't do, you gotta shoo them away because you're gonna see the importance,
Hmm.
of just doing something simple like this. Like if
Hmm.
tomorrow you get like 20 leads,
Hmm.
like calling you, hey, I saw you on, and like you want to take those calls, but
Hmm.
you really want to take those calls? You want to might probably have somebody else take the calls and you continue to make content so you could get
Hmm.
20, 40, 50, 60. You see the importance there. So, and I
Hmm.
think the conversation too with different minds, right?
Hmm.
So, you coming from where you come from, I come from where I come from, where we talk, we have dialogue, and it's, you start figuring things out when you have conversation with other people.
Yeah, you do. And I've been trying to it's like your lawnmower thing. I've got this. I've put together a team of people that I'm training. I'm overseeing. I'm not doing the training by myself, but I'm overseeing more of the logistics of the team and this group of people that are going to be doing wholesaling. And you know, when you get a lead and it's a warm lead, it's kind of like a little precious thing, right? And it's really hard to like trust it to somebody else. Like, are they gonna do well? Are they gonna talk to the person? Are they gonna offend them? Are they gonna say something? Whatever. It's like, and it's not just like, I don't know how much you pay to cut your grass, I don't know, $50 or something, but it's not just like that. This could be thousands of dollars
Yeah,
that are lost. And so
that's
it's
true.
really,
Mm,
really hard. It's
yeah.
hard. And I don't pretend to have figured it out, but I'm trying. So with this team, I have a huge opportunity right in front of me to grow in this way.
Mhm,
Yay.
mhm.
Can't wait. So
You'll
hopefully it'll be
find it.
good.
You'll find the
Yeah.
person because the person is going to make you comfortable because they're gonna have a little bit of you. Because
Mm,
if you only feel comfortable with you, then and if they display that the you know what I'm saying, like they display a
maybe.
little bit of what you have in them, then all right. I could at least give it a try. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
I'm going to try.
that I'm trying to think optimistic and out loud. You know,
Yeah. Yes.
because I
You,
have the
and you,
same
and you
problem.
should, you should be, you should think
Yeah,
optimistic. Yeah.
yeah. So
So
see
it's going to be
see what,
awesome.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But you know what? Actually, I have learned, um, and it's been a hard lesson for me because not everybody I've worked with and hired over the last 3 years have been great, and some have been downright terrible. In fact, all right. Oh, I know I'm getting high. Okay, I bought this other property, right? And we bought it, and when we gutted it, we realized that the people that sold it to us had completely destroyed the frame of the house, like destroyed it, and then put
Mm,
drywall up to hide it. Because you can't during inspection, you don't pull the drywall down, you can't see. So we were
right.
completely frauded that way. We hired a general contractor who a couple months after we bought the house, it came out big news in Jacksonville, like had defrauded people 700,000 plus in money because he
Oh,
wasn't a real contractor, lied about all of his credentials, had a whole business, and he was the guy that I hired.
oh no.
And then it was just like contractor after contractor was just not a very good character, right? And
Mhm.
so I was like, I really have to learn how to find good people, discern good people. And that's a painful learning process between
Yeah,
like, I want to believe in people. I want to believe that people are the best and they'll do the best job, but not everybody is. So there's this balance that I haven't learned yet between, okay, I want to believe in this person. I want to give this person a chance. But when I see the red flags and they're not doing this,
mm,
they gotta go. And I
yeah,
gotta be okay with that. So that's I'm learning that
yeah,
slowly
yeah.
through hard
Then
knocks.
it ain't peaches and cream all the time, right?
No, it is not.
But at least
No.
you learn from it. That's one thing is that since I just since I was a little kid, there's been setbacks, and there's been highs. Definitely, there's been a lot of
Mhm.
highs. With a
Yeah.
lot of hard work, there's definitely highs. But you learn with all the highs, there's could be low points too, low points, in every which way. So
Yeah.
you're never really prepared for. I mean, as you are older, you kind of you kind of can take more. When you're younger, especially when you're growing up in Brooklyn, it is
Uh,
very, very adventurous. So
oof.
I've learned, it's just gonna come, and then my job is one step, one step, one step, and just keep going, you know.
Yeah.
And that's I think the mentality you said, man, the mindset. You gotta just, take the highs with the lows and make fun of them later on.
Yeah. I think one thing that I tell people a lot who are asking me about getting into real estate, they're like, "Well, what's it like being in real estate?" And I tell them, it's solving problems every day,
Mm,
all day. Like that's if you don't want to be dealing with that, then don't get into real estate because every day, and I schedule my day in time blocks, right? So I plan I'm going to do this from here. And
mm,
generally I keep to my schedule, but in that time block, I don't, I can get a call from a tenant that suddenly says, "Hey, I don't have any money for this month. I can't pay my rent." I can get a
mm.
call from a contractor that says, "The whole chimney just fell over. Oops, oops." Right. And then, and I'm solving problems. And so so in my mind, a little bit, I kind of gamify it. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this is like, what's coming at me today, right? I'm going to solve this. And so I love that. I love that aspect of it, but it's not, I don't think everybody could do that. So that's one thing
No,
I would say about real estate is that you've got to kind of have that like whatever's coming at me today, I'm gonna
yeah,
swing at it. Right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
and
yeah.
and I love that. It works for me, but it's
Yes,
hard.
it's a challenge. the challenge is like, it would imagine it would have been picture perfect, right? 3 years of picture perfect, no problems. You would have probably got bored. You probably would have been like, maybe I need to do something else. This is too easy. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think there's a balance of it. Like, yeah, the lows create the highs when they're really high, and vice versa. So you learn.
Yeah, you do
Yeah.
learn.
You enjoy it. I think after a while you're like, wee, just ride the wave up and down.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I feel like I think if it had been picture perfect, I feel like I wouldn't be in a position to really help anybody else or teach anything very much to anybody else, right?
Right.
Um and the thing I love to do is teach. I love to teach. I enjoy that. And so I feel like these things that have happened to me give me information that is valuable to pass on to other people, which is what I really like to do anyway. So, if it had been picture perfect, I would have only known how to do what I did,
Yeah.
and which maybe would have been fine. But I like it this way. Now I have information I can share and I can help other people avoid
Yeah.
flea
That's great.
infestations.
That's great. So what do you want? What is your position 5 years from now? Where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be? Like, where do you want to go?
Tunisia, maybe on a camel. No, well, traveling. I 5 years from now, I want to have built up several businesses that are running themselves, that are, that I don't have to do nothing, but that I can be. I want to figure out how to be anywhere in the world and work from there. And
Hmm.
so I jest by saying Tunisia, but maybe not. Maybe I want to.
Yeah.
I want to be able to be in Tunisia and pull out my laptop and be able to work from
Right.
there.
Like that. That's good.
And I would like to I would not hate it if I had a bit of a mentorship myself that would help other women. There's not a lot of name a woman guru right now. Like, I hate that word guru, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, you've got Pace and Grant, and now Elena, his wife, is doing a lot of stuff, but really there's not a lot of women out there helping pull other women up and helping pull them
Yeah.
along. So I would love to fill that space. There's a spot open, I'll take it. I would
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
to do that and help other women, especially um, women who maybe could use this to get out of difficult situations or to really bring their family up. And that would be my ideal
Mm.
life, where I could be traveling but doing good
Hmm.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
That would be dope. That would be,
Yeah,
you get there. You get
it would
there.
be
I don't
dope.
think I don't think you know. I don't think you know. I don't think you know not how to get there. And then you get there.
I think
You
so.
know.
I think so too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you get there.
Yeah, thank you.
Because it's funny because I always joke around like I'm gonna sell this house and get an RV and travel to the United States, and they look at me like I'm crazy. But that's what I really wanted. Like I want to get to a point where I want to travel. Like that's what I want to do. Everywhere.
Mhm.
So like I got spots in mind. Like I want to go to Northern. I want to see the Northern Lights. Like I want to
Yeah.
see Australia. Like I want to see
Mhm.
places. So I got to get to that level. But in order to get to reward myself, I gotta, I have a road ahead of me that I gotta take care of.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I
But
got
it's possible. And there's so much beauty out there. There's so many things to
yeah.
see in different cultures
People
to
too. I don't
experience.
want to see people through TV. I want to see people face to face.
Yeah,
You know
me
what I
too.
mean? Like
Mhm.
they make people, they stereotype different people on the TV. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, they do.
You know what I
And
mean?
you know what the nice thing about RV is? I love to be able to travel. When I travel somewhere, I like to go for at least a month.
Hmm.
And I like to rent like an apartment even before Airbnbs were a thing. I try to find apartments and really like live there,
Yeah.
and really not like, I've never been a big cruise person. I know people love cruises, and I don't hate on cruises, but I want to go and live in a place and
Yeah.
like cook there and grocery shop where they grocery shop and really figure out what it's like to live there. And I've been very fortunate in my life that I've been able to do that in Europe and several places in Central America and in Australia, obviously.
Mm,
Um, and I love it. So an RV is so great because you can do that. You can park in a spot for a while and you can really know the local
that's it.
culture.
Yeah.
Because even
You-
within the United States, there's definitely a different culture in the Pacific Northwest
Yeah,
than there
yeah,
is
yeah.
in the
Mm-hmm.
with Florida with the Florida men.
Uh, it's fun. It's fun. I
You know,
mean,
it's so,
New York and Florida are by polar opposites.
oh my
Um,
goodness.
but
Yeah.
then you have the Hispanic culture of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, and them that are similar to some of the people that are down here in
Yeah.
Florida. So you get to the Hispanic the Hispanic communities over here in Florida. They look very similar to the ones in the island. Um, but New York, the people over there are much different. You know,
There's like a
like
hardness.
like when I came down here the first year, I went to the Walmart and the lady's like talking to me like she was just pouring out her, like she was telling me her life story, and I'm looking at her like in my head like you need to ring me up because I was wired that way. I was wired that way. I
Yeah,
was
right.
wired like you in New York. You gotta be fast. Boom, boom. You have to be fast. You're battling as a man, as a young man. You're battling 1,000 other guys that want your position. So you
Mhm.
must be of value. If you're not of
Mhm.
value, you are nothing, and you got to be quick with it.
Yeah.
So when I come down here, everything is like, and they're talking and talking, and I'm like, for the first year, I thought I was gonna go crazy,
I know.
and then you know, it was tough for me to kind of bite my tongue, so I would listen to them. So I was able to turn it around rather quickly because I think a year is pretty quickly. But
Yeah.
just to listen to them and look at them, and then kind of listen and then learn to kind of stop, slow it down, talk to the
Mhm.
person in front of you,
Mhm.
and do that process when
Mhm.
you're coming from New York where everything is like this. I was a firecracker. I was a firecracker.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like I
Yeah.
come down here and it's like, I'm talking to the little old lady. She's like walking me to the car. Say, you don't gotta take my groceries. She like take my groceries to the car. I was like, they don't do this in New York. Like they
Yeah.
take my groceries, they take my groceries. Like
I
they
know.
leave with
You're
it.
gonna keep going.
They're gonna keep going to their house. They're
I
not coming
know.
to me.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to see the world. I want to see them with my own eyes.
Yeah.
And
No, it's a
that's
great goal. It's a wonderful goal.
but yeah, well, I think I took up a lot of your time. Oops.
Yeah, that's all right. This was wonderful. It was great talking to you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate the conversation and hopefully we could do it again.
Yeah, I'm sure we will do it again. All right. Next time my assistant will contact you.
Yeah, word. For real. I'm not getting the gardener though.
Right.
He's out.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Well, thank you very much, David. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.